Hey guys, it's Xayah bringing you another video. Now, welcome to another Huzzy patch note breakdown, this time of 11.13. So today we're going to go over the patch notes, see what I think, see if there's anything that I think is missing, and I can probably tell you right now, there's going to be things that are still not nerfed that I'm absolutely shocked about. But I also do know there is some type of mage buff in this patch, and I've been playing a lot of support, been climbing with it, because a lot of what I actually feel in League of Legends is pointless right now. So I feel top lane is relatively pointless. And obviously we'll talk about the new items that they've released in this patch, and I'll give my opinion on those, because I don't think it's going to do what Riot intend, and I think that's been a pretty key kind of thing that keeps happening, is Riot intends something, they change something, it intends to be one way, it doesn't work that way. But yeah, jungle is like the role to play for climbing, but I just personally don't enjoy it, so I don't want to play it. Mid lane is practically pointless unless you're playing a certain group of champions, and for the most part, if you actually pay attention to mid lane, it's nothing to do with mid, of it actually having an impact. A lot of, if you're playing the meta mids in the meta way, it's about, I'm playing Sylas, Echo, Cat, I'm roaming to bot lane. That is the meta way to play mid lane right now, and I just don't enjoy that. So I've not been playing much mid. Hopefully this mage buff will probably fix that. AD carry you can definitely play, but I personally feel my support is better than my AD carry, so that's why I've been just playing a lot of support recently. So let's see how it goes. So not a massive patch when it comes to buffs and nerfs of champions, but there are more system adjustments that we can get our teeth into. So yeah, nerfs only are for Kayn, Lee Sin, Rumble, and Riven. So once again, no nerfs to the melee AP champs that a lot of people are like, what? And you know, I will say, it's not just me kind of complaining about it, or I've just got like my, you know, attention to it. If you go right now in your challenger ranked and look at the profiles, I did it the other day, the amount of people just playing Sylas alone is mental. Like, that champion is pick or ban right now, and it's been that way for a while, and nothing's being done at all. But I don't know. The buffs, though, are to Aphelios, Olaf, and Xayah. We have new skins of the astronaut variety, which are Astronaut Rammus, Maokai, Viego, and Corki, and we have a weirdly Project Z prestige skin this patch. I will say, because a lot of people are going to be excited for the upcoming event, the Sentinel, I think it's called Sentinels. There's new Ruin skins and Sentinel Light skins happening. That will be officially next patch, I believe, not this one. And I also think that means the Ruined event, when it comes to the unlimited spellbook, that you can like steal another champion's ultimate, I don't think that will be this patch. I think that's technically next patch, because that's when the Ruined event is starting. Again, I could be wrong, but I think that is true. It'll be like Wednesday, I think the 7th of July, maybe, something like that. We have adjustments also to Tahm Kench, his mini-rework, and also Viego. And then we have new items, mobility, the change, and obviously I do have a pretty big opinion about that, because Riot was so close to doing it correct. They removed the dash spoilers of Lightbringer, but then keep it in Gale Force and stuff. It's like, you smite, I don't actually know what's happening, so that'll be interesting. Other items, mana mythic items, and runes. Also worth knowing, because people always say, the astronaut skin line will be available June 24th, and Z will be available, Prestige Z, June 24th, and the astronaut skin line will be available July the 1st. So there we go. Let's get into it. So it won't be probably a long one today. But Aphelios, passive bonus damage and lethality increased. So again, they have to be careful with buffing this champion, because he is that type of, you know, not even to be negative, he has fundamentally a broken kit. He's practically all AD carries rolled into one. That's why he was so problematic on his release. Like, people go, what the hell's the point to play Caitlyn or Ezreal or Draven or Severe when this guy just does all their job in one? So you've got to be really careful not even making him... It's weird. For him to be balanced, he actually probably has to be slightly weaker than the average AD carry, because then, because of how strong his kit is, that will bring him up to meta. So the passive, and obviously that's what you can level. Each level for Aphelios, you're also choosing to put AD, lethality, or attack speed, I think, in also leveling. But they are doing bonus damage. Part of the passive is going up. So it was 4, 8, 12, 10, 20, 24, which depends on your Q rank, this one, apparently. it's being upped by a decent amount. It goes now 5, 10, 15 instead. The maximum used to be 24. It's now 30. So a little bit of a damage buff of bonus damage. And then lethality was 3.5 going up to 21. It's now 4.5 up to 27. So that's actually pretty good. A 6 lethality buff. And remember, a lot of lethality items, you might like 6 lethality isn't a lot. Lethality items don't actually give that much lethality. Lethality has high value per 1, let's say. So that's actually not bad at all. And obviously that also depends off your E rank, apparently. Kayn, WVFX now revealed when in terrain. Ooh. Blade's Reach VFX is now revealed when cast within the terrain towards an enemy. Oh, that's so good. So we've all played against a Kayn where he's in the wall and you just suddenly get hit by the W. It's because it was hidden. You now will see even the rectangle outline of it. If he's in the wall and casting it, you actually still now see the W. That is... It's not... Well, it's a nerf technically, but that is to me, that's what should have been anyway. That's to be intent. Like, why was the W hidden just because he was in the wall? You can see Kayn, he's in the wall. So I think that's going to be pretty good. I bet Kayn players won't like that, but I think that is fine. Lee Sin. E base damage decreased later. So again, Lee Sin, obviously, all they did, remember, is they didn't change anything apart from the cooldown of his E. Initially, they buffed it by 2 seconds, and then they nerfed it by a further second. And now, I will say, it does kind of feel that Lee Sin has fallen off in top lane. I had one earlier today, and he fed like crazy. And he wasn't even against like a really strong top lane. I think it was Volibear. And he got wrecked. Like, this dude maybe was like tilted and inting by the end of the game, but he was like 15 deaths in a Diamond 2 game. So, yeah. So they're now also reducing the damage of it later. And remember, Lee Sin is not a late game champion, so for it to get nerfed later into the game hurts Lee Sin more than you actually think. If it got hurt in the early game and it got, you know, it was okay in mid to late game, that wouldn't be as bad because, you know, at least he can scale a bit. He can't scale as much anymore, so that is pretty bad for Lee Sin. So I would definitely expect the Lee Sin top lane is now going. Maybe you'll still have Lee Sin jungle players, but it's going to be the type of thing that, oh, Lee Sin blew up, everybody's playing Lee Sin, every top laner, every jungler is now playing Lee again. It's now going to turn into, oh, the Lee Sin players are now playing Lee Sin, where before it was everybody. So, yeah. Olaf, I like this champion a lot. I will say as well, he's getting a buff, and guess who's getting one of the new skins in next the Ruined event? Olaf. Anyway, base health growth increased, mana and mana growth rounded up. So the health growth, he used to get 93. He's now getting 100, so that's actually pretty good. The mana as well, it's not really worth pointing out. It's just flattening the numbers. It's technically a slight buff in both of them, but not enough buff that you're going to actually feel. But Riot just like to, whenever they're changing a champion, if the champion like this had mana was 7.47, what Riot's been doing over the last year or two is when they actually have a champion in the patch notes, they will round out the numbers just to make it a little bit easier to understand, so that I don't blame that at all. Riven, base shield reduced, strength reduced. I don't see Rivens. I know people have said in the past, this is one of the examples of a server difference when it comes to a champion. That America, the NA server, loves Riven. Like, it's always been known they have the best Riven 1 tricks, arguably, or the best, maybe not best, but the most known Riven 1 tricks. And they, as a community, they all kind of like Riven. EU West, I don't think cares much for Riven. I hardly see them. And when you see one, it's never like, oh, it's Riven. Ooh, it's Riven. Like, she usually loses lane, and maybe she can make it like a comeback later into the game, but it's not a champion that you're like, oh god, Riven. But I know in America, she is. So for me to see this nerf, to me, it's a bit weird, because I don't think Riven needs a nerf. But this is literally just changes happen. And again, I accept that. It's the same aspect that the champions are different depending what rating you are. It's also depending what server you are. Like, that is just part of a video game that is a global video game. And I completely am fine with that. So I don't think Riven needs a nerf, but she probably does in the data, especially maybe for the North American... Oop, I've dropped a can. Especially for the North American server, maybe she does need a nerf. So that's fine. Again, I don't mind that at all. So the shield was a 95 at rank 1, 215 at rank 5. So they have nerfed it by a grand total of 10. I think that will hurt her. And obviously, remember, her shield scales off AD, if I'm not mistaken. So this will be more of an early game nerf, I feel, than anything. You know, 10 shield less when she's level 14, let's say. It doesn't really matter. But a 10 shield difference at level 2, that matters a little bit more. So yeah, that's more of like an early game nerf. What are they actually? A Riverdale champion who can block, dodge, and knock up enemies at will, leaving enemies both wounded in their health bars and egos. This means she is especially strong in skilled and elite play, where on-demand shields are more readily used and capitalized on. By lowering some of her ability to mitigate damage, she'll have to be more careful. Where basically they're saying Rivens don't actually have to be that careful when she just has a really good shield, which is kind of true because she's more of an aggressive champion. And like Riot said, you know, she can block, dodge, stun, knock up everybody. Like, she has a lot of stuff in her kit. So I don't think that's a bad nerf. It's just I can't remember the last time I saw a Riven and went, ooh. Rumble, very popular champion. Obviously, we watched the video on him recently. The W cooldown increased early and now scales. Both movement speed decreased later. So when we watched that Jungle Rumble, remember he took W at level 1, and that helped him kind of get his heat going in the early game. You know, literally a 1 second cooldown, 1 second difference in the early game is quite big. So that might affect Jungle Rumble quite a bit. So the cooldown, yeah, used to be 6 seconds every rank. It's now 7, starting at 7 and now going down to 6. So literally, it's kind of weird, but it's a 0.25 per rank. So it's not going to feel that different. You know, in the end of the day, it's a second. It's not insane. And then the bonus movement speed, I guess this is maybe the bigger thing. It's a 5% movement speed nerf. That's maybe a bit more of a nerf. So yeah, it's going to tone down Rumble a lot. But like as well, Riot sometimes, they go a bit extreme sometimes with both buffs and nerfs. We've literally been in these patch note videos going, what the hell is Riot doing? And then, yeah, that champion that they buff becomes overpowered. And you're like, well, duh, if you just read the actual buff, you knew it would be overpowered. But Riot also do that with nerfs, and it's actually nice that they're not doing that. This isn't going to ruin Rumble. People will still be able to play him okay. And that's good. I don't like that when Riot go, we're buffing this champion, they're now overpowered. Or we're nerfing this champion, they're now garbage. That isn't healthy, so I think that is good. So Tahm Kench, Mini-Rework. So his in Fundamental, Devour and R have swapped, and both have been slightly reworked. So again, the Devour was W, and the ultimate was the Teleport, that you could eat someone and teleport somewhere. The passive bonus damage has been decreased. The Q now heals and applies his passive and scales with his size. And E-Shield duration increased. Healing over time increased, but takes longer to come into effect. And he's got new VFX. So, his health, base health, has gone down. His health growth has gone down. His mana growth has gone up. His armor has gone down. His magic resist has been flattened, but technically gone down. His passive, bonus damage, when he, I think, eats somebody or whatever, was 4% of maximum health. It's now 2.5. It's been nerfed. That has been, technically. So, the Q. New. Tahm Kench can now cast R Devour during Tongue Lash to swallow champions stunned by Tongue Lash. So, he stuns somebody, he can then eat that champion because they're stunned. And then healing. Tongue Lash now heals 6 up to 10% of his missing health when an enemy champion is struck. So, kind of like, think of Mundo's Cleaver, but Tahm Kench's tongue. And a Fish of Many Tastes. Tongue Lash now applies a stack of passive and acquired taste to the champions it hits. So if you hit something with Q, it will be dealing 2.5% of their maximum health as well. So that's probably why it's been nerfed. Up, 4% each Q is quite a lot. 2.5, it's a bit more manageable, but that used to never happen. The passive only used to go off, if I'm not mistaken, when he hits somebody. It's now going off every single time he hits his Q, so that's actually not that bad. The slow is being flattened to 40%, so it's a buff in the early game, nerf in mid to late game. The duration has also been lessened. The cooldown of it has also been nerfed in the early game, flattened to what it used to be, the exact same at rank 5, and the mana cost has been buffed. So this is now becoming literally, it's your spamming ability. Think of it as your poke ability in lane. It's not doing maybe as much as it used to in some ways, but you can use it more, and it does proc your passive, which it never used to do. And then the final thing is harder, better, stronger, or whatever. Tongue lash range and missile speed now scales with Tahm Kench's size. So if you get bigger as Tahm Kench, there's items in the game that do make you bigger. And I don't know, maybe in his kit he can get bigger, I'm not sure. But, you know, there's the elixir that can increase your size, for example. Steric's Gauge can, on proc, I think, increases your size. So makes actually the Q better as well. Abyssal Dive, so the old ultimate is now his W. So Tahm Kench channels for 1.35 seconds, dives for 0.15, then appears in a targeted area, dealing damage and knocking up enemies for 1 second. Hitting an enemy champion refunds of 30% of the cooldown and the mana cost of it, the whole mana cost by the looks of it. Tahm Kench can take devoured allies along with the ride, so that, you know, allies can still he can ult an ally and teleport with them still. Allies can always eject before the channel finishes if they so wish, and enemies cannot see where Tahm Kench is headed until 0.5 seconds into the channel, so you can't react straight away. The cooldown of it is 21 seconds at rank 1 down to 17, so it's a buff, but obviously it costs mana now. So it does cost 120 mana at rank 5. That is quite expensive. So there's that. The old ultimate is now the W. Thick Skin. The shield duration. So Thick Skin obviously is when you take damage as Tahm Kench. There's the grey damage bar that when you press the ability, you kind of lock that into being a shield, and then you can actually heal that back, or a portion of that shield back. The shield duration has been increased to 2.5 seconds. The grey healing over time, that is slightly increased to 10% maximum health per quarter second, so it's a buff. And then time before grey health healing, so before you had to not take damage for 2.5 seconds to then heal the grey health, it's now 4 seconds before you actually start healing it, so there's that. And then finally, the old W is now the ultimate, Devour. So this is a new thing part of it. So it's the same ability. You can eat enemies or your allies, but they're adding this on is Hook, Line, and Dinner. Tahm Kench swallows the target champion up for 3 seconds. If the target champion is an enemy, they must have 3 of the passive acquired taste stacks. Oh, that's right. Okay, so some people might have been like, Huz, you were wrong here. Correct. So when again, this is why explaining it all would be good. The passive only procs. That's the ability that has like the elements of it. I think it's either on the 3rd or 4th part of the passive. It's only when they will take the percentage of maximum health. So in order for Tahm Kench to ult an enemy, they have to have 3 stacks of the passive on them, which means Tahm Kench has to auto attack them twice and uses Q on them once or something like that, and then he can eat them. So he can't just walk up to an enemy and eat them. He actually needs to use his passive. Yeah, that rings a bell. I know Tahm Kench, but it's hard to remember a champion that you literally don't ever play in detail. But that sounds right. But anyway, when he actually eats somebody, they take 100, 250, 400 damage, plus 15% maximum health as magic damage, and then also plus an extra 5% per 100 ability power Tahm Kench has. He doesn't really build ability power because, you know, he's a full tank, so I don't really see him having even the plus 5%. Maybe he'd get up to 100 ability power, maybe, but he's not really going to get any more than that. Tahm Kench is also grounded and slowed by 40% movement speed when he eats somebody. On the flip side, if the target champion is an ally that you're going to devour, they are granted a 300, 450, 600, depending the scaling, plus 100% AP shield that lasts for 2.5 seconds after devour ends. He's also slowed, etc. But literally, that's a big shield. So again, if Tahm Kench has 100 ability power, that's giving an extra 100 shield. So at level 16, just flat, he is giving an ally 600 in shield when he spits somebody out. Any ability power that he has on top of that gets added on as a shield 1-for-1 because there's a 100% ability power ratio. So that's not bad. I don't know if this is going to do really much for Tahm Kench, I will say. He's a very niche champion. Is he a top laner? Is he a support? It's always a bit like, I don't really know. I don't think this is going to make him meta. I don't know. Like, again, I'm not a Tahm Kench expert. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, oh, yeah, this is great or this is really bad. I've got no idea. I don't play Tahm Kench. So This is the type of thing that might take a couple of weeks for it to fully kind of develop into what is he going to become properly now. Is he a mid? Is he a top? Is he a support? And I'm not going to be doing that. That's for the Tahm Kench community to kind of work out. So there's that. Viego. Q healing from minions decreased. That's good. E base bonus movement speed and missile speed and zone length increased for his E. Interesting. So, okay. So his Q, which I will say was a bit obnoxious in mid lane especially, that he could press Q and heal a lot from minions. He used to get 100% of healing from his Q from minions. They are now nerfing that down to 50%. So he's healing half from minions, which I fully agree with. Healing in League of Legends is still crazy. But then they're buffing his E, which again, his E, I guess that's like his stealth. I don't think that's the biggest problem of Viego. Like, yes, I do think he's a borderline overpowered champion, like most of the community, I think. But I don't think it's the E that makes him that. I think it's just overall damage, his healing, and then his ultimate. But anyway, the base movement speed is going up by 5% at rank 1, 5% at rank 5, so 5% buff. The missile speed of it is going up, so when you're actually throwing it down, it'll be quicker. And then the zone length is also longer, so the mist will also be longer as well. So interesting. Xayah, the last buff for this patch is Q base damage per feather blade and maximum total blade damage increased. Oh, okay. I like Xayah. I played her recently and she actually felt not that bad to me. So having any type of buff I think is cool for the champion. So maybe we'll play her again in this upcoming week. All right, so now to get on to, how do I say this? Potentially the two most stupid items in League of Legends history. Is that the right way to say it? That, you know, am I sitting on the fence with that opinion? I don't know. So yeah, we have ANATHEMA'S chains or whatever the hell. So this is the item that if you're top lane and you're, I don't know, Malphite or Sion and you're against a Tryndamere and you know, dude, I can't stop this guy eventually. This is the idea, I think, of this item. So, are you a tank? Is there an annoying enemy champion on the enemy team? Boy, do we have an item for you. With chains, you can select one unlucky foe to be easier prey. Vengeance can be yours today. On a more serious note, this item gives tanks a unique defensive advantage when sparring against a single target, while also providing offensive CC. This should be especially useful when you're in a game where you keep encountering the same enemy. So again, like it is an anti-split pushing item, or like some people have pointed out, oh god, they have a Kog'Maw on the enemy team, but you have two tanks. Well, both of the tanks are just going to buy this item, and both of them are going to pick Kog'Maw, because why wouldn't you? So, it's costing 2,500, it's made out of health, it gives only health and ability haste. The effects of it, however, are choose a nemesis to start building a vendetta over 60 seconds. It has global range, so you can pick anybody, kind of like Kindred Ultimate, but it must be used after combat, and can be used while dead, but has a 90-second cooldown. So Vendetta is take 1% reduced damage from your nemesis per Vendetta stack. The damage reduction starts at 0 and stacks up to 30% over 60 seconds. At max stacks, your nemesis has 20% reduced tenacity while near you. So, to summarize, you can maximum get 1% reduced damage of against the nemesis per stack. You can get 30%. So you can get 30% damage reduction against the nemesis. So literally, I pick Kog'Maw in the enemy team. I'm going to build Vendetta against him. You now, as a player, take 30% less damage from that Kog'Maw. It's that simple. Secondly, also that Kog'Maw, if he's just near you, he has 20% reduced tenacity. I don't know if that stacks, by the way. I have no idea. So if two people have the same item and they both pick the same person, I have no idea if that stacks. That would be absolutely nuts if it does. I will say, I can't for the life of me remember if this is a mythic item or if this is just a legendary item. Someone in the comments, please let me know, because I don't remember. Like, do you have to buy this instead of a Sunfire, or can you just buy this as well? If you can buy this as well, this is kind of nuts. Worth also noting, someone worked out with a 20% reduced tenacity, etc. If someone doesn't buy Merc Treads, if a Morgana buys this item, like, Morgana won't buy this item. Sure, it's not really a Morgana item, but at maximum stacks of reduced tenacity, a Morgana can permanently CC somebody. And I'm not kidding. With the Q, with reduced tenacity, if they don't have Merc Treads, they don't have the runes of reducing tenacity, which a lot of, you know, squishy champions won't have, Morgana can permanently see somebody with her Q. So that's kind of crazy. But I think this item is... I mean, some people say, Huz, wouldn't you like this item? In theory, you think the damage in the game is too high, which I do. I like tank meta, because I actually think the game in itself is the most skillful when it's tank meta, and the damage in the game is much lower, which it's very hard to deny. There's not much skill in the game when everybody does 1 billion damage. When everybody does little damage, every single one of your abilities, every single auto attack matters. Nowadays it doesn't. You can miss half your abilities and still kill somebody. So this item, in one hand, does help to that. Sometimes there is that enemy on the enemy team that is literally one-shotting you. And hell, as an AD, I literally will see AD carries be buying this item if there's a fed assassin on the enemy team. Like, think of the Ezreal game that we played a few days ago. Magic Resist would not have done a lot to help me, but 30% damage reduction would have against the Evelynn, and I would have had more health as well. So that's the type of thing. I even see... And it would have helped against Evelynn Charm, and obviously she hardly ever did. I was getting one shot without the charm. But this item would have been good that game. But I also think it's a really stupid item. Like, why do you need to make... The reason why they have to make this item is because the damage in the game is too high. Why don't they just tone down the damage? Just tone down the damage. It's that simple, but they just refuse to do so. And now, on to League's actual most stupid item, Hullbreaker. And why I will say it's the most stupid item is because Riot themselves have called this stupid. And what I mean by that is we're removing Zarot Portal and Banner of Command because both of them are unhealthy gameplay. Well, welcome to Hullbreaker. It's those items merged together and put on steroids. Like, to me, this is madness. And obviously, this is Riot's desperation of, we need to make top lane a thing. Top lane is pointless. What are we going to do with top lane? Well, right now, I would tell you, if you're a tank player in top lane, sucks to be you. Because all top lane now is going to become is the world of bruiser split pushers. Because of this item. It's mad. So, the build path of it is Pickaxe Phage Gold. Gives attack damage, gives health, gives health itself, gives health regen as well. So, you can be inside laners while trading a bit longer. But then the passive of the item is, while no allied champions are nearby, so you're alone, split pushing, gain 20 to 25 armor and magic resist for some reason, and deal 20% increased damage to towers. Also, when a large minion is nearby, a cannon minion, that cannon minion suddenly gains 60 to 135 armor and magic resist, and that cannon minion does 200% damage to towers. Why is this a thing? Because so every single Tryndamere, Yorick, practically every... Relias might buy this. Like, this item to me is just ludicrous. And to me, as what I said earlier, it's pointless. Because it's not going to make top lane good. Because all it's going to become is it's going to counter itself out. When both top laners are buying this, there's no point having the item. That's the point. Like, it doesn't... When you're making just a stupidly overpowered item like this that everybody's going to buy, and that's my prediction, it's pointless even having. I think it's really dumb. But that's just my opinion. Mobility items. So Stridebreaker, it's getting more health, less attack damage, and the dash is getting removed. So there you go. No dash from Stridebreaker, even though that's kind of what it was for. It's because it's an unhealthy mechanic. An item, in theory, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, shouldn't be giving a dash. And, you know, I was very happy when I saw this. But you can do the slash of it while moving, and the actual slash does more. I'm fine with the slash doing more. It does more slow. It was just unhealthy that an item was giving immobile big bruisers. You know, Darius, for example. Why does he have a dash now? Like, it was weird. So I think that's fine. Riot was so close. They had the concept right. Items should not have dashes. And then they messed it up because they didn't do that to Gale Force. I have literally, I'll be honest, so many times been killed by an AD carry, but not an AD carry. I've been killed by Gale Force because of the dash. Nothing to do with the AD carry, but they haven't removed it. So the passive, the movement speed per mythic, so each legendary item you got movement speed from buying this item, that has been nerfed. That's it. Again, it's just weird. Movement speed from Lichbane has gone down, but the ability power has gone up. Ability power for Cosmic Drive has gone up, but the movement speed has been flattened. Black Cleaver as well. bonus movement speed. Basically, the movement speed across the board is going down because there's too much mobility in the game. That is, in essence, what is happening. Again, Prowler's Claw, another dash item that a lot of people don't like. Nothing getting done by that either. But I think now you can't use the passive on a minion. You only can use the passive on a champion. But still, like, it's still another dash that I personally believe an item shouldn't have. Because someone on stream said, what about Protobelt? I don't think Protobelt should have it. I don't like, and this is just my opinion, that's fine if you disagree, I personally don't like items that have champion level mechanics, because that, in my opinion, is what makes you pick a champion, is its own champion mechanics. I don't like, I'm not a big fan of Zhonya's. I don't like invulnerability. I'm not a big fan of proper champion level mechanics, dashes, invulnerabilities, that time. I may be okay with slows, like Riley and stuff like that. That is kind of maybe the peak of me, because even though a slow is a champion mechanic, it's not like a really big one, but I don't think items should be able to stun, invulnerable, all that stuff. I'm just not massively into it myself, especially like a dash, because a champion's kit is designed very around being balanced of mobility and all that stuff. And like, again, Ashe, Jinx, those champions are designed to do a lot of auto attack DPS, stand still, do a lot of damage. They weren't designed to also have a dash, but now an item is giving them that. That breaks like the fundamentals of champion design when those champions were made. That's what I don't like, but that's just me. Mana Mythic, so this was the big like saving grace. Are mages back? The answer is no. So all they're doing is reducing the cost. That is it. Yeah, no. This is not going to do anything for mages. So one argument is, oh, maybe you'll be able to play mages a bit quicker, or a bit better, because, you know, when the meta in mid lane is play one of the AP melee assassins or AD assassins and use roam to bot lane, the argument is mid laners and mages, they can't stop the roaming and they can't push quick enough because how weak they are in the early game. Well, maybe with 200 gold less on these mythics, they will then have the little bit of the extra early game power to stop that, or they can follow a roam. I really don't think so. I don't think 200 gold is going to fix what is currently the meta in mid. Like, yes, this will help mid laners, but I don't think it's going to help them enough. So I've been playing, obviously, support recently. I was hyped. I want to play, you know, mid lane mages again. I don't really think it's going to do anything, and that really hurts me because I really want to play mages. That's what I really enjoy in League of Legends. I just don't think it's going to do anything, so I don't know. We have Moonstone buff, I think, which is weird because I think it's still good. And then, yeah, this item obviously has taken over the game recently. Most melee bruisers are buying it. That's not going to change because it's staying at 12% of the target's maximum health. But all they're doing is it's more for Senna and Ezreal that are also buying this item. It's now going to a 9% instead of a 12. I still think it'll be good on Ezreal, for example, but maybe just not at that, you know, overpowered maybe mark. But again, actually a bigger patch than I thought, by the way. Nimbus Cloak bonus movement speed has gone down because of the mobility nerfs, and the Ghost Poro has gone up. So it's a buff to Ghost Poro. Turret update. Inner turrets in side lanes, top and bottom, now granted additional 250 local gold. That's for top lane, remember, that they want to make split pushing more of a thing with the new item. So you're even getting more gold for killing outer towers. Smite. Yeah. What are they doing with that? Oh, okay. So actually smiting... Wait, no. Damage to a minion. Oh, okay. So I saw this. When the new smite changes actually happened, there was a Ivan main that came out the woodwork on Reddit and said, this is terrible for Ivan mains. When you're giving everybody a 900 smite at level practically 6 after just completing the smite quest, Ivan got screwed because people were just smiting Daisy and it died straight away. So they're now changing it to damage to minions, so either Daisy, Heimerdinger turret, Tibbers, Yorick's Maiden. It's now doing 500 damage to those, but then 10% of the target's maximum health. So it will still do a decent amount, but it won't instantly wipe it out straight away. So I think that's good. ARAM balances, which you don't really care about. Bug fixes, again, you should always pay attention to that if there is a champion you play. Most definitely. And yeah, we got the new skin. So there we go. That is the patch note. Actually, a pretty big one, even though there weren't actually much champion buff and nerfs. A lot more when it comes to items. So very summary. I think the mobility nerf is in the good way, but Riot still didn't do enough. I still think Gale Force and potentially Prowler's Claw aren't their most healthy thing. Mana Mythics, I was very, happy and excited that they're doing something about mages because they're pointless to play right now. This isn't going to be enough, so they probably still need to do much more. And again, what you do, just tone down the early damage in the game, because then the dominance of Katarina, Silas, all those champions goes down, and that opens the window for mages. And obviously, once again, they're implementing 2 new items. This item is literally because there's just too much damage in the game, and Riot aren't nerfing it at all. That they don't need this item if they nerf the damage. And then Hullbreaker is just going to force split pushing top meta. That's all it's going to be. So I won't be back in top lane because I don't like split pushing. My playstyle at top, I love playing like a Darius or a Shen or something like that. But if you'll notice, I like laning, but I love grouping. I love having big team fights. That's the type of player I am. So there'll be no point for me to play top lane because all the enemy's going to be is, oh, I'm Darius versus Tryndamere. Okay, I beat him in lane. I did great. He'll buy Hullbreaker and then he'll be split pushing the entire game. And then I'm Darius forcing to be against a Tryndamere in a 1v1, which I don't want to be. I want to be in a team fight. So top lane is just something I'm never going to play now if this item exists. So we'll see how it goes. But that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys think down below. It's a bit of an interesting patch, I guess. Plenty of stuff to give your opinion about. The new items, mobility, the mages. Let me know. But that's going to be it. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Peace.